What a mighty God we serve. For someone here today, that is the one thing you needed to hear. That may be the only thing that you need to hear today. Because you may find yourself in one of those situations that all of us find ourselves in at times, but we like to run from. One of those moments of trouble. One of those moments that just sort of overwhelms us and gives us no hope. And reminded again, not only is there a mighty God, but He's also your Father. And that He loves you. That He cares about you. This weekend is International Weekend for us at New Hope. We have something like 42 different countries or nationalities that are represented here at our church. It's a great church to be a part of. And I come from Northern California, so this is my native outfit. Actually, it was blue jeans and a t-shirt, but my blue jeans are really ugly, and my t-shirts are all wound up, so this was the best I could pull off today. But it's great seeing a lot of people from lots of different places and having all that stuff. And I thought to start off today, we would throw up an Irish blessing, because I know we have a couple of Irish folks. How many Irish folks do we have here today? Yeah, a couple. They're all the way there. So all right. So here's this great Irish blessing. May your troubles be less and your blessings be more, and nothing but happiness come through your door. If that could be true in life, right? But I'm guessing that as great as this feels, and it's one of those blessings we like to say because it's hopeful, but I'm guessing for a lot of you today, this is a more accurate statement for your life. Sounds like a country song. I think it is. I think Ray Charles did it. I mean, a bunch of people have thrown this in. But for a lot of us, I mean, this is the statement, you know? And trouble is one of those things that just seems to always be there. And it's a thing that we try to run from. And it's a thing that can overwhelm us at times. Because we want peace. We want those moments like we just sang, you know, where we're kind of far away from whatever this world has that's kind of drug us down. And just those moments when we could say, God, you're mighty. And to believe it and to feel it, at least for that moment, and have an escape from those things. Because the reality is, all of us have a picture of what life should be. All of us have this preferred future that sort of sits in our minds. This is how it should be. And that's great when you're a kid, but the more miles you get underneath your belt, the more that preferred picture goes through some readjustments. For some of you, you're on your second, maybe even third major readjustment. Another career, another family, another shot at life. And it's the thing that weighs us down. It's the thing that we, in this preferred picture, we are surrounded by it. You know, we have this great social media that's all around us. But one of the downsides of it is we get a picture into other people's lives, and other people's lives always look so much better than ours, don't they? It used to be you just had to worry about your neighbor, you know? They have a new car, and they got all those toys, and you're, how come they doing so well? You know, or your family, you know, you always got the one person in your family who's always bragging about how great life is for them, and you know, everybody talks around them behind their back. But now we have this great social media, and everything goes and says, you know, here's how your life could be if you really had it together, right? This is how your life could look if you just, you know, had the love that I have, or had the family that I had, or had the job that I had. And all this stuff piles up, and it makes us recognize that our lives aren't exactly what they are. And if you're a Christian, a follower of Jesus, there are those moments when you ask, how come? Why not me? What happened? Where are you, God? Why is this happening again to me? And I can tell you it's one of the hardest things for me as a pastor, and I know other pastors have gone through the same thing, is hearing those heart-wrenching stories. Those stories of hopelessness. Those stories of pain. The stories that there is no quick solution, easy answer. And to say, let me pray for you, sounds like a weak response. But there's another side to that, and it's the thing I've been amazed at over the course of my time of being a pastor. That is that I've run into people at times whose lives are just, literally, if they didn't have bad luck, they wouldn't have any luck at all. It just seems like one thing after another after another. And there's certain people that just seem like magnets. Have you noticed that? They just seem like magnets for trouble and bad stuff. And I've been amazed and in awe at times to talk to these people, to listen to their stories, and discover that they have discovered in the midst of all those troubles, all those heartbreaking kind of things, this kind of faith that has such depth, it has such maturity, it has such strength to it. See, nobody likes trouble. We all want peace. But the question we're going to look at today is that a reasonable expectation for life? See, for me, one of the things that sort of bails me out is every time I read my Bible and look at the stories from the men and women whose stories are recorded there, these are people who have gone through some amazing troubles and yet come out the other side with a faith that we celebrate today. And so today we're going to go to a story, one very simple, not even a story, one simple paragraph of words that Jesus gives sort of as his last discourse to those that were closest to him, the last sort of parting words. And in it, I hope that all of us, whether you're a follower of Jesus or somebody who isn't, can maybe get a little bit of hope before you leave here today. So to do that, before we get there, I want to invite you just to bow your heads and let's pray one more time together, okay? Lord, at times the best thing you can do for us, the best thing you can do for me, is to let me know that you know. Is to let me know that you care. And to give me hope in those assurances that despite what happens, you will continue to be there. That my life was made up of more than just trouble or heartache or pain or frustration. It's made up of you and what you bring to it. So today I ask God that you would speak to us. Speak to that person that's here today that literally is at the end of their rope, that has no hope, that not only doesn't have a preferred future, but doesn't seem to have much of a future at all. And I pray today you would say something to them through some kind of means to not only give them hope, but to give them peace. And I pray you do it for us now because you've always done it for us. In Jesus, amen. If you want to follow along, we're going to be found over in John chapter 16. And we're going to pick it up. Verse 33 is this line you've prayed. If you've been around a church very much, you've heard this statement before. Jesus says, listen, I have told you these things so that you can have peace. That is, you can have confidence in me. He says, I've told you these things so you can keep on having that confidence in me because of all the stuff that's going to take place. And the question has to be, what are these things he's told us so that we can experience peace, right? And so we need to go back a verse or two to see what some of these things were. And this actually comes at the end of this long sort of discussion Jesus has with them. And over he's told them, God cares about you, that God's there for you, that God answers your prayers. Over and over he says, listen, I'm not going to be here for a long time. I'm leaving. He goes over and over, kind of back and forth. And then sort of the last final piece, he says to him these words in the verse before. Listen to me. Because they've come to this place and now we finally understand what's all's going on. He says, listen to me, guys. A time is coming when you're going to be scattered each to your own home. Guys, a time is coming that you're all going to run. You're all going to not only just leave me, you're going to leave each other. And then he says these words. That time is now here. You know, you're all excited. If you go back a few more verses, you'll see that they'd kind of, they were a little frustrated with Jesus. Jesus always teaches in these things called parables. And the challenge with parables is, who knows what they mean, right? Have any of you ever sat in a sermon when somebody took a very simple parable and started to tell you all these sorts of details about it, and they kind of made this law? I mean, I've heard people preach on weeks on end on one single parable, talking about the color here and the thing here and what this means. I don't think Jesus was that complicated. He's trying to tell us a simple story. A simple point. It's not about 1,000 points. It's about a single point. But they struggle with it just like you are. And then finally Jesus says these things to them, and they say, finally we get it. You're talking clear to us. You're saying, God cares about us. You're going back to him. Okay, we're clear on this. And Jesus says, you're all excited about it, but you guys got to know that you're going to leave me. And you're going to leave each other. And it's going to happen right now. And you will leave me alone. But I'm never really I'm not alone. Because the Father is with me. Interesting statement. Jesus says to the guys that are closest to him, guys who are feeling pretty good at this moment, because they finally have figured Jesus out. You guys are going to leave me. But you guys need to know something. When you leave me, I'm never alone. Because my Father's going to be with me. And then, he says, I told you these things. I told you these things, that you're going to leave me, but my Father's always with me. I told you these things, that life is going to get real hard, real fast, so that you can have peace, confidence in me. I've told you, you're going to run. And I'm going to say something, some of you are going to be mad, but too bad. You're going to run like scared little schoolgirls. I know school boys get mad too, but you're going to run. But I'm not going to be left alone even though you run. And I've told you these things so that when you're running, you will have peace. You'll continue to have peace in me. And I love this statement because it tells us something so important that so often we miss in life. The connection between us and God is not all about us connecting with God. It's about him connecting with us. That even when they ran, Jesus wanted them to have peace, have confidence in him. That you'll keep on having peace even when I'm put to death, because he knows what's coming in just a matter of hours. And then he makes this incredible statement. In this world, you will have... We're going to say this a few times because I think we all need to be convinced of this. In this world, you will have... In this world, you'll have... In this world, you, me, and us, we will have this idea of persecution, this idea of suffering. This is not just little trouble, this is not, I went out today and my car went, click, 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 not that kind of trouble. This is the kind of stuff that weighs us down. He's talking about big trouble, not little trouble, okay? He's not just saying little annoyances. He's saying in this world, you're going to have trouble and you're going to suffer. It's going to be painful. But be brave. Put on your big boy pants. But this is not about us putting on our big boy pants. Not about us being strong. It's about taking courage. It's about finding courage in something other than ourselves or our situation. Because Jesus said, in me, you'll have peace. Not just you're going to get peace, but it's through this process. And here's the thing. He says, listen, I have defeated. That is, I've had victory over, I have conquered, I have overcome the world. That's why we should have courage. Now, if I had been one of the disciples, and I got a couple of days down the road from this, and I think back to what Jesus said to me. He said, I'm gonna scatter. Even though multiple times we've told Jesus, we're not leaving you. Jesus says we are, and we do. The thing I need most at that moment is peace. Not peace from the stuff surrounding me, but peace within my own heart. Because I would have felt like I let Jesus down. Because I had. I had pushed away from him. I had walked away from him. I had run away from him. And I would have been tempted to think at that moment, Jesus said he had overcome the world, and now he's dead. How in the world is that overcoming? But that only would have happened if I was an American. Because if I had been Jewish, I would have understood something here. When he says, I have defeated, that is a past tense thing. That when Jesus says to these guys, listen, I want you to have peace in me. I want you to have hope in me. Because I have, past tense, defeated. I have claimed victory. And every time in the New Testament, when this language is used, this word for defeated is used, it is always in the context of a spiritual victory, not a woo-woo war kind of victory, all right? And you know what the Greek word is? Nobody knows what the Greek word is. Yeah, that's right. The verb that defeated there is Nikia, which comes from a noun. But want to guess? You'll be correct if you guess Nike. That's right. Nike means victory. And Jesus says, I have Nike'd the world. I have conquered it. It's already happened. So when he dies, it's not the idea that he's lost. Because death is not the loss because he comes back to life. This was a plan that had already been set in place. This is a process that was already taking place. This was a situation that was already happening. And Jesus says to them, and he says to us, I think as well, I want you to have peace. I want you to discover peace in me. Because in this place, there's going to be trouble. And the way to get through trouble is recognizing that I have overcome the world. And overcoming doesn't mean to go without troubles, because there's this moment that just within a couple hours of this, Jesus goes out to this garden. And as he's there by himself praying, and he's talking to his Father, he says, God, I want you to take this from me. I want you to take this whole trouble, this whole situation that these guys are going to get. I'm going to get arrested. I'm going to get crucified. I'm going to go through all this pain and suffering. I don't want to do that. But if it's your will, I'm willing to follow that, but I don't want to. And if you were a believer in Jesus, you know that you are glad at this moment that at that moment, his Father said, no. Listen, we think that a life without problems is a sensible goal. Right? It's reasonable, right? We ought to be able to get, that's our preferred thing. We just shouldn't have that, any real big troubles. We're going to have little ones, but that's our preferred. We think a life without problems is a sensible goal, and here's what Jesus says. Because in this world you will have, and you need to believe that. Because most of us, we don't believe that. We think we ought to be able to have no trouble. I mean, why should I be a follower of Jesus? Why should I be a God-believing person if it isn't going to do me some benefit to get rid of all this trouble, right? And I think this is true whether you're a Christian or not a Christian. Jesus is making a very flat statement there. In this world, you will have trouble. You're going to have some tough stuff to go through. And we need to believe that we're going to have that. Because if we believe that's not the path for us, not only are we going to be sadly mistaken, it has the chance to derail us. See, unavoidable trials aren't aberrations, they are expectations. And here's why that's important. For some of you, when you look at life, and you look at the trouble you're in right now, the thing you long for, the thing you desire most of all, is to be out of that trouble. You want peace, right? And at times we go searching for peace in lots of different places. We run towards peace. Sometimes we do stuff to give us temporary peace that we know is going to be worse when we come out the other side, but at least doing something is better than doing nothing, and I just need a little peace right now, and that's why I'm doing it. Don't give me any hard time. Just leave me alone in this. Give me a little space. And we miss the reality that in the midst of trouble, there's this opportunity to find peace, not in our situation, not even in ourselves, but to find it in Jesus. Because here's the second point. Sometimes the thing we need most is only discovered in the thing we want least. Sometimes the thing we want most, we want some peace, we want some hope, we want some courage, is only found in the thing we want least, the trouble that we're currently in. And I have heard too many stories in my life of people who have gone through some unbelievable problems and struggles and trials in life, who would tell you to your face, I'm not glad this happened in one way, but I'm glad it happened in another way. Because of what it's done in me. How it's changed how I think about things. How it changes how I see God and how I see Jesus. I wouldn't ever want to go back through it again. But I also wouldn't want to miss what this situation has brought me. See, the reality is God is sometimes silent. And for some of you right now, that is just so frustrating. Because you begin to ask yourself the questions, how come, why, where are you, God? I thought this, I thought that, I hope for this, I hope for that. Sometimes God is silent. But that doesn't mean that he is absent, that he's unconcerned, that he is angry. And some of you are going to need that someday. Some of you need it today. Because isn't that what we worry about? When God isn't there, we say, where are you? Hello, 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 hello. I'm all alone here. Throw me a line. Give me just a hint. Show me something. Just let you know you're there, and nothing. Or we think that God is unconcerned. I mean, he's busy. Billions of people on this planet. He can't really be taking care of everybody, caring about everybody, can he? And my problems aren't as important as maybe what's going on in Nepal right now or some other places right now. Or sometimes when God is silent, we convince ourselves that means he's angry. He is angry with us. And just like somebody significant in their life is, when they're angry with us, they do this. Right? And God is angry at us, and that's why this is happening. And it's all about, I got to get my act together. I got to get things straight. I got to get this all worked out. I got to get this all fixed. What if Jesus is simply saying what he was simply saying? That I've told you all this so that, trusting me, you will be unshakable and assured, deeply at peace, Listen, you're going to continue to experience difficulties. But take heart. I have conquered the world. I have taken, the language says there, the power of the trouble that happens on this planet away from destroying you, away from having the power over your life that you give it when you get too worried about it. I've come to give you peace. I've come to remind you. It isn't so much about where you run, where you hide. It is about a remembering that I'm always with you. And that my peace is always available to you. Because sometimes the thing we desire the most is only found in the thing that we want the least. And if you find yourself in that place today, my temptation is to say, I'm sorry. My temptation is to say, I wish I could change things for you. My temptation to say is, here's a way to fix it. But sometimes it's not about fixing it. Sometimes it's not even about fixing yourself. Sometimes it's simply about where you fix your eyes, your hopes, your dreams, your confidence in. And I just hope you'll do that by fixing them on Jesus. By believing what he says is true. That he really has conquered. He really has defeated. He really has become victorious over everything. Doesn't change the troubles, but it changes the power of those troubles to mess your life up and to do some things that way.